So once a Java IDE that I would like to show today is Netbeans. So if I remember correctly, Srinivas, you have asked me if we can actually use the Spring tool suite. When I've gone through the internet, the Spring tool suite is nothing but a different flavor of Eclipse. Okay, so if we download it, we'll be able to use it just like Eclipse. There may be some extra support added to that, so we can do that when we start Spring session, so that it will have some useful features when we are learning about that. So I open this. Once we have finished the core Java section, we'll be going ahead with the topics related to database and Hibernate, etc. And then we'll see through basic servlets and JSPs. And once we have done those two, then we will be going through Spring, and that is when the Spring Tools suite may be more helpful, rather than till then we won't be using any special features of that, so we will be using it at that particular point of time. In fact, any IDE, if you see, this is one such IDE, NetBeans. So So Eclipse is one IDE, NetBeans is another free IDE. In some projects, people use NetBeans. In some projects, people use IntelliJ. In some projects, people even use some other IDEs like RAD, etc. So I remember Srinivas mentioning that you guys have used, not you guys, your project has used RAD earlier. So RAD is a proprietary tool where you will have to pay to use that one. IntelliJ also has two different versions: free version and a community version, and the Ultimate Edition. So Ultimate Edition you have to pay. Community Edition you can use for free. So there are so many IDEs. So if in our first session we have done it with simple Notepad, right? Yes. So Notepad also works in terms of when we want to develop some simple Java programs. But if the programs are huge, you will be finding it problematic to use it with Notepad, and that's where all these IDEs help us. So IDE means integrated development environment. Okay, so it helps it eases our life. Okay, so just in your session today, just try to download. Just search for NetBeans download. You should be able to get go to the page where you will be able to download the NetBeans. Okay. So it's pretty much easy. See, there is Java SE version, Java EE version, so there are different flavors of these things. Okay, so I would suggest you to download all. Okay, because when we actually are trying to develop, when if you like NetBeans and if you want to go ahead and use NetBeans instead of Eclipse, if you want to develop some JavaScript and other when in fact when we will be learning some of those things, uh, so when we do that, it will be helpful if you have this all version, so that you have Java SE is the core Java is what we are learning. Okay, and we also have but we are not going to learn Java effects, but we will learn some web development, etc. So having all will be helpful. Just click here, it will be downloading and install it, just like uh, not much different than any other installer you might have already seen. So I just would like to show you today by using this. With I'm not going to use the existing Eclipse for the at least for this session. So here, creating new project is pretty much same, and Eclipse has some concept called as workspaces. Here we don't have anything like workspaces. Okay, it's pretty much we'll be having all the projects over here in the say single thing. So here we get all these options. Either we can select Java, JavaFX, Java E. JavaFX is a desktop exe application developer. Okay, so web applications we generally use with Java, JSP, Springs, or those things. That for that we go through this Java web section. If you want to develop applications that run locally, like our MS Word and MS Office, MS Excel, those things we will be typically using JavaFX. But we are not going to cover JavaFX as part of this course. In fact, mostly it's not that popular in terms of desktop application development yet. And Java EE is called Enterprise Edition. So it has more features related to some enterprise-wide applications, very big applications like EJBs, etc. We won't be seeing all those things, but we may touch some of these Java EE areas, but not the entire Java EE per se. Okay, HTML is the crux of all the web applications. Okay. So we'll go through those things when we actually come. Java ME is mainly meant for the mobile applications, but this is also not that popular when it comes to actual Java applications. You know Maven already, and if you want to create some C or C++ code, you can go ahead and do that. And Groovy is a slightly different programming language that we can that looks similar to Java, but slightly more advanced. So let's not worry about all those things for now. Let me simply create a Java application.
What about PHP, Buddha? I heard of PHP also, I mean, in the market.
PHP is also a web development software. Like people go for PHP PHP web applications instead of Java if they are not if they don't have any Java developers, or if they don't have enough. Java is for big applications. Okay, Java helps in terms of many terms like making big applications with Java will be a breeze, easy. Whereas PHP will be it's another programming language actually. So using which also we can develop web applications. But PHP is more popular because of the uh, so, number of how shall I say website providers. Whenever we want to take some space like GoDaddy, etc., many of them will support PHP instead of Java, because Java takes a lot of memory and all. So PHP is also another web application programming language.
What about Python? I mean, does it come under this one or it's an entirely different thing?
It's again entirely different programming language. It can also be used for web development, and it's like, see, you have hundreds of programming languages. Right? Python is such. Ruby is one such programming language. PHP, Java, C Sharp, C++. So many all these programming language syntax and all work pretty much similar, except that slight variations. Okay, some will be slightly advantageous in some applications and all, but generally we try to specialize in one or maximum two programming languages, so that we don't be too much get confused between the programming languages and all. PHP can also be used for PHP, and Python can also be used for the web application development. Python can also be used for the normal desktop application development.
Mhm.
So that's about that. So in programming world, there are hundreds of thousands of programming languages, and some programming languages die, some programming languages come, and even Google has recently created another programming language called as Go. So too many languages for us to really worry about. So just let's Now come back. You have any other questions? Otherwise, we'll go.
Uh, no questions, Buddha. I mean, I typed NetBeans in Google. I got 8.0.1. Which one I should click? I got 7.1. I got 7.1.2.
No, download the latest one. No? It will support all the latest Java features and all.
No, the name itself is different.
Name is different.
I mean, I got NetBeans IDE download
Uh-huh.
under that one. Okay, should I click on that one? NetBeans IDE download.
Uh, did you try something like this? NetBeans ID download? Yeah, go ahead with the first link only.
Okay, first link.
You can see my screen, right? I've gone to netbeans.org/downloads.
Okay.
Do you see something similar to my screen?
Okay, let me check. Yeah, yeah, same thing.
Okay. So either download 8.1, 8.0.2 is a slightly older version. So 8.1 is the latest version. So just download that one.
Okay, 8.1 and the last one download all right,
Yes,
263
yes,
MB.
yes. Download that larger.
Uh, for me it is showing 215 MB.
It can because of the operating system. I'm using Mac, right?
Oh, okay, okay, fine, fine.
So now I'll be creating a Maven project. So it will be easy to add extra dependencies if we are using a Maven project. So I'll simply be using that. Um, so all these things are default. Can say finish. Now, if you see the UI looks slightly different, but functionality and all will be very much similar to what you might have already seen in Eclipse. Okay, so the main intention of me actually going to NetBeans is to let you know that it is pretty much easy to work with something that you have never worked to before. Just if you slightly try to apply what you have learned in Eclipse over here also to work, we have to create a new project, and then it is showing source packages, dependencies, whatever that you are seeing over there in Eclipse. You see them slightly differently in a Maven project. See, it also created a default package. So now if we say new, we'll be able to do all that Java class package. And if you are doing something else, we have to go to other, and we'll be able to select all these things. Okay. So now let me create a Java class. And okay, now the main difference when working with the different IDs is the shortcuts. Okay, so some functionalities are not that. If you are in Eclipse, if we typed main and press Control space, we would be getting it. Otherwise, we can simply slide shortcuts may be slightly different. So, but still, once you get used to these things will also be pretty much simpler. Okay, so public static void main, and in this, if we say for sysout, I'm not getting any session, right? So, but when I start typing system, I'll be getting both of these things. So So that's what we have to get used to when we uh, start using a different IDE, slightly different way of getting all these shortcuts. So system.out.println, and now I saved the program, and to run it, we'll click this one. And if you want to debug the project, we'll be clicking this one, a debug project icon. Looks slightly differently, but does the same thing. Now, when we run this, it is telling which class it wants to run, and I want to run this main class. And because this is a Maven project, for the first time it will be downloading some dependencies, so it will be same even with that. So now, because it's a Maven project, it simply executed this particular class after downloading all these dependencies. So now this is where we have the execution result. So we got some other extra output also, because it's a Maven project. It executes these things slightly differently, but uh, right. So you can run it anyway. You can either right click on the class file and select run file, or we can even go for Maven goals, wherein we can do clean install and all. So typically the process is pretty much similar. We will be able to run a specific class. Okay. So now that's about IDE. There isn't so much. There are slightly different ways of doing things. We will not have anything like workspaces and views, perspectives, etc. in NetBeans. Everything will be available. Here we call them as windows. So this is projects window, and this is files window. This is services window. Especially when we are starting with web development, we will be using this services window. Otherwise, we won't be using any of those other things. So something is not available already, you select that one, that extra window comes up. It may not be evident as to what we do with this at this point of time, but just remember that we will be able to do all those things. So even in debugging, we have variables, watch, call stacks, etc. Right? So we can use get pretty much all of these things. Okay. So now let's go ahead and learn what I meant, what I said I'll be finishing today. So far you have been seeing data types like uh, the data types like integer, float, and I said every data type has a limit as to what values you can use them. Like say for example, if it is integer, you can use from minus 2 power 30 to minus 2 power 31 to plus 2 power 31 minus 1. So that is the range with which you can use integers. Okay. What if you want to write a program wherein you are asking user to give a uh, weekday. Okay, let's say we want to write a program. If you remember or not, I don't know. Scanner, public, static, void. Let's imagine there is a method called getWeekSchedule, and this getWeekSchedule, week, let's call it weekday schedule to make it more clear. This getWeekday schedule, what it does is it takes input, okay, and it will be returning the number of hours, number of meetings we have on that specific day. Okay, let's say our calendar is frozen for next 5 years. and each day will be having the same number of meeting hours. Okay, so what does this method should take? What should this method take? Let's imagine this has information as to what it will be having. Let's say for Monday int Sunday we have 0 hours. In Saturday we have 0 hours. In Monday we have 5 hours. Tuesday we have 4 hours. Sorry, Wednesday equals to 7 hours. Okay, so don't worry too much about how it is getting the information. Imagine that it already has the information as to how many number of hours we have meeting on a specific day. So here, this specifically, it should return the corresponding day. Okay, don't think that every time we will be having the method in the same class. There may be hundreds of classes you are developing. So from some class you will have to call this method. So imagine that you have this method in some other class. Okay, now how do you solve this problem? When this main has to get how many number of say for example, main method has to work in such a way that main method will be having a need to find out how many meeting hours are there on Thursday. What can we how can we change this program in order to get the number of hours that we have already specified on Thursday? How can we do that? I want to get number of hours equals, I want to call this get weekday schedule. I want to change this program in such a way that this will be returning me the number of hours. So what changes do I have to make? Either Srinivas or Kishore?
We need to call. mm,
Come on, make a guess. What changes do we need in such a way that our main method will be getting number of hours on Thursday?
we have to comment all the other things except Thursday.
Uh, will this work?
Oh, okay. Yes, it
Okay,
will work.
okay. But is this good program? But what if next time main method needs Wednesday? Imagine that in line number 14 main method needs Wednesday, Thursday, and in line number here in line number 16 it needs println, it needs number of hours on Monday. So how do we do that? How do we solve that problem? This the program as it is, whatever I've written does not fit the need. Okay, so don't think about enum and all. Think about what you already know. How you solve this? So how you make sure that you can return a different thing every time that a user needs. So how do I solve this problem?
Maybe we have to pass a value
Exactly,
while calling the method,
exactly.
and
We have to pass
based
a
on
value, and based on that, we will have to decide. Now, what kind of value can we pass? What data type do you
anything,
choose? If you want have to solve this problem, Srinivas or Kishore, which data type will you choose?
either char or int.
Okay, let's go for int. The char also works. So let's say int uh, day. Okay, now I'll be using switch on day
Switch.
case Sunday, or how do I decide? So because this is int, I have to use something like 0 return Sunday. Okay, because we are already using return here, we don't really have to use break. In case of one, we'll be able to use Monday, return Tuesday. Okay, like this, we'll be able to write for all days. But so here we'll be able to call it like, okay, because we know that Thursday is sorry, Sunday is 0. We will know that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be 4. So we will be calling 4, and then here because we need for Monday and we know it is 1, so we will be calling 1. And let me just finish it. Case 3. Okay, and I don't need this line. Okay, now what is a do you see any problem with this?
If I enter other than these values.
Yes, when he enters any value other than these things, he will not be getting any proper value. But this int data type is not limiting the user as to what value he can use, right? It is limiting in terms of he cannot enter doubles or floats or any other data type. But still, int is a very wide range which has many numbers. So int, though it works, it solves a problem here. It doesn't restrict user from making mistakes. See, Java, all these new programming language is all about that. Making sure that users don't do mistakes, or we reduce the number of mistakes users do. Okay, so that's why all these restrictions, limitations, and all. The some programming languages don't even have data types. In fact, we spoke about Python, right? We don't have
Mhm.
to have any data type in Python. Okay, so even in PHP, we can use data types, but even without using data types, also we can write away and code. But they have other problems. When we don't use data type, we won't be getting help as to what kind of data we have to pass for this method. And now, how does a specific user know that he has to actually give 0 to indicate Sunday? He doesn't know. See, here you are seeing this method, but every time you have to call this method, you don't open this method and read its code and try to do it, right? You have to get the documentation. How are you getting the documentation for the other methods? When we are typing actually these methods, if you remember, we are getting JavaDoc right here, and if you type out, it is telling what that out is, and that way every method is giving you an information as to what kind of thing you have to pass, and all. If you see gets property, It is explaining, okay, what is this doing and what are these parameters, what you have to pass and everything. So, but you don't have any such help for our method. So how do we get help for our method? Now, if we say get week schedule, nothing. We don't have any help for our method, right? So, in order to create that similar kind of thing, I showed you that we can use double slashes to comment a single line, and use slash star and star slash to comment multiple lines. Okay, so comment means they will be there in the program, but they won't be considered as the programming lines of code. They'll be considered as some extra information about what that is. Okay. Now, if we want to provide that kind of information for our method, we will be able to get it by providing some special comment called as JavaDoc comment. Now, as I said, slash star, single star is a normal comment. Okay, for JavaDoc comment, we have to give slash, two stars, and then press enter. You will be getting like this. Okay, so we will have to write returns so we are explaining what this method does. Returning number of hours on the given day, and then param day 0 for Sunday, 1 for Monday, and so on, 6 for Saturday. So we have given what this day means and all. Okay, and it returns number of hours. Okay, so now we have written some comment like this, and we can also write some other extra information like who is the author. Now if we type, okay, we are directly getting get weekday schedule because there are no other methods. Let's say just type G and controls. Okay, we are directly getting this, so we are unable to read the Java documentation. For now, let me simply create another method. Public static void get something. Now I created another method, so now I'll be able to read the Java doc. Now if I type this, if you see, we have two methods, right? Now when we select our method, it is explaining what it does. Returns number of hours on the given day. Parameters day, for day parameter we are giving 0 for, we have to pass 0 for Sunday, 1 for Monday, 6 for Saturday, and it returns number of hours on the given day. And if we select get something, we are not getting anything because we have not written any Java doc for that. Okay, so this is how you will be, in fact, if you are going for a development position, you will have to write JavaDoc for every method you write. So make sure that you just try to practice JavaDoc whenever write some method. That way it will be easy for you to keep doing the Java documentation. And now when we have removed that slash, now it's much more clear. So that's about it. And here Netbeans is not recognizing the author class, but in Eclipse we will be having an author also who wrote that particular class and all will also be displayed. So if we write the Java documentation for this also, we will be getting it. Okay, remember we have to use slash and two stars immediately, and then press enter, you will be getting a JavaDoc comment. Now now if you see, forget something, we will be getting that information. and this is how we are actually getting for every class. Okay, now if we see println method, if you click println, you see JavaDoc is available. That is why whenever we are typing system.out.println, now if you see, this source terminates the current line by writing the line separator string. The lines are defined by system property line dot separator. Now let's, if we click this method, now see, terminates the current line by writing line separator character string, blah 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 blah. Okay, so we can also use some other extra things like bolding some things, like making some characters as bold, everything. But you get the point that it's in fact we'll be able to use a lot of such things. You can just go through some JavaDoc tutorial or something in order to get the extensive things that you will have to do. But these are the things that we'll be mandatorily using. Okay, apart from this, we won't have to use much. Now let's come back to our problem. So now we have given this, so that's fine, but still it doesn't limit user. User now knows what kind of information he has to he should be passing. Okay, so in order for him to know, what he has to do is he has to read the Java documentation. Even if you read the Java documentation, what if user gives 9? How do you restrict user from giving some values which you don't want them to give, especially in simple programs like weeks and where there is a limited set of values? How do you restrict user from not giving these things? We have to use or create our own data type. Okay, so where we only have limited set of values. Integer has around 2 power 32 number, 2 power 32 values. Okay, whereas byte has 255 values. So what if we want to create a data type where there are only 7 values? Okay, we can do that, and that data, those data types are called as enums. Okay, so let's create an enum, new. Here if for to create enums, we will be, instead of class, we will be using enum. That's it. Everything else is same, pretty much same. Now here we will be giving what all values you can use. Okay, we can give 1, 2, like this we will be able to give. But the problem is we will again user will not know what is one means Sunday or one means Monday. He will not know that, right? So enums will allow us to actually give the data types not only as numbers but any values. Okay, so let us directly give Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It is convention to give these in all capital letters, not mandatory. It's just a convention that everyone is following. Okay, so if you don't give capital letters, people will see why you are not giving as capital letters. Okay, so even though it doesn't give you any error, it's a convention that has been that is being practiced. Now what we have created is, we have created a data type where there are 7 values. Okay, and the values are, instead of 1, 2 and all, we are telling the values are Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Okay, so now instead of accepting an integer, let us accept weekdays. Okay, now instead of, now because they have changed to 0 and 1, now what we can directly do is, we can directly weekdays dot Send. Okay, even before that, let me show you here. So now, because we are accepting a weekdays object, what we can actually do is we'll be able to create pass the weekdays dot Friday, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, etc. Okay, so this way, instead of passing any ones and twos and all, we'll directly be able to pass. So here we want Thursday, right? So we'll be selecting weekdays Thursday, and now instead of this, we can directly pass weekdays dot, because we wanted Tuesday here, we'll be able to pass Tuesday. Now, forget about this specific method. Okay, what exactly do you see any benefit out of doing like this? Okay, forget about this method. Do you see any benefit out of using this way? A very glaring benefit.
User will be restricted to use the predefined
Yes, that is one thing.
value.
And any other benefit you see?
Readability increases.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to aim at. Okay. So the readability is very good when it comes to when we are using something like enums. Okay. People, when other persons are using these things, it will be very much easy for them to understand what is going on in the code. Okay, so we, whenever we have this kind of restricted values, always try to create an enum and then use that. Okay, so now let me just give me a moment. Okay. Uh, Sorry. Uh, Now, as I was telling, the program readability will be greatly increased when we have this, and also user will not have any scope to do any mistakes. Okay. So this way we have created data, but then how do we use them? Okay. So now when it comes to using them, we can use them like any other data type. Okay. We can either use them in switches like this. We don't have to give any weekdays qualifier, and we can directly give for Sunday, return Sunday, case Monday, we can return Monday, and case Tuesday, we can return Tuesday. Now, if you see, this program is much more readable, and people will not confuse Sunday with Monday or anything like that. Okay, and we can use them like any other data type. We can either use them in the switch cases like this, or we can use them in if cases where day is double equals to weekdays dot, say for example Monday. We can write code like this. So if you see, you can use them like any other data type that you have been using them so far. Okay, so a return, say for example Monday, we can write like this also. Okay, so but we cannot use additions and multiplications on these things because those operations are not defined on these custom data types. Okay, but you can use them in equalities mostly, or in switch cases to use those things. And these enums are only compile time things, so once they are compiled, they will be actually removed from the code. Okay, so uh, so anyways, that's not your concern anyways. So here now the date is not going to take zeros and ones, so here weekdays enum value. So now one of the weekdays enum value it is accepting. So now when we type g, we will be getting, okay, there is only one method, so we are directly getting the this thing. So now how do we actually get JavaDoc for NetBeans? So NetBeans, okay, we have to right click and click show JavaDoc, or press Alt F1. Okay, it is Control F1. Okay, here we are getting JavaDoc like this. Show JavaDoc. Okay, it is directly opening the JavaDoc in internet. Instead, it is not displaying in Eclipse. If we have hovered the mouse, it is displaying the JavaDoc, right? Let me just find. Control Shift space. Okay. Okay, now we can see the JavaDoc of any specific thing by pressing Control Shift space. By just going onto that method and press Control Shift space, you will be getting the JavaDoc for that particular method if you want to do it. Of course, you will. Of course, we will be getting the JavaDoc if that is the only method available while typing it itself. If you have already typed it or you are not getting it, just go over there and press Control Shift space. You will be seeing the JavaDoc, whatever is written on that specific method or class or anything. Okay, so this is about enumerations. And now we have seen something called as annotations earlier. So if you remember where we have used, in fact, we have used annotations here also at parameter return, their annotations. And we have also written annotations when we are actually writing the Java test method. Java test methods, right? So those Java test methods we will be able to write. How did we mention a Java test method? We mentioned a Java test method by unit test, JUnit test, next. So now already I don't have a JUnit in my Netbeans installation, so it is directly downloading, and I'm able to use the JUnit once I have downloaded all the dependencies and all. Okay, and now if you see, it has kept lot of default stuff like before class, after class, and all. As I'm actually not taking any JUnit things in our session, I'm not going over them. So I'm just giving you some basics that will be helpful for you to begin with them. So at test public void new test. Now if you see here, we have used something called as at test. Okay, and I said we can also use at ignore if I'm not wrong, if I'm not wrong. So a new test one. Now when we run this test, this will be still be considered as a test, but it will not be executed if we mention at ignore. Ignore. Okay, so now at test and at ignore will work. These are actually called as annotations. Okay, whatever these are not any information or any exact code. Okay, but these are metadata. Okay, what should happen on this method? We are just telling, we are just mentioning that at test. Okay, and also we have used some other annotations like at override. Okay, if you remember, we have used that override on our methods when we are actually overriding the parent class methods. Okay, so that way we will be able to indicate what is happening with that method. It's not exactly code, but it's more like a metadata information about that method. So now, how do we create this kind of annotations if we want to create? Most of the time, we don't create annotations. That is very rare scenario where we will have to create annotations. Um, uh, Basically because they don't serve much purpose. If you are creating some frameworks like automation frameworks or some other new frameworks like Spring, then you will have to create those annotations. But apart from that, if you are using Spring and all you have to know is using the annotation. That's it. Okay, so to create an annotation, all we have to do is new annotation type. Okay, in fact we don't even have to use any of these things. We can simply create new class file, and in that we can change that particular class to some other thing. So here, instead of having class, we have at interface. This means this is an annotation. So once we created this annotation, we will be able to use that annotation in our on our methods or anywhere. In fact, new annotation type. Okay, we can restrict as to where this annotation can be used. If you see, we will be getting this annotation type everywhere. Now, if you don't want to put that, say, if in our JUnit test, we are able to put that ampersand test here, but If we try the ampersand test here, yeah, we'll be able to put it, but it shows an error. Okay, so the annotation type is not applicable to this kind of declaration. So we can restrict as to where this annotation can be kept, but as I said, we won't be having. Uh, if you see, suppress warnings, overrides, target if you see at target is the annotation that we can use as to specify where we can use at target. Here we can tell element type as method. Then what happens is, if we mention it over here, it will be showing an errors because this is only limited to methods. Now if we put the same thing over here, it doesn't show any error. But what purpose is it solving? It is not solving any purpose at this point of time. Okay, we can actually, when we are trying to customize some JNet frameworks and all, that's where we actually use these annotations. But the reason why I'm explaining you this is because if you see any new annotations in your code, don't get surprised, and this is how they look like. Okay, that's the main intention of demonstrating those to you. Okay, and if we want to create any specific type, so for example this annotation string, uh, say for example property. Okay, uh, now we can create a properties or some variables like this. That way our whatever annotations or whatever annotations we use, they will be able to accept the values. So at uh, new annotation type. Okay, this is how we can create the child properties that they can do. So now if you see the property equals to world. So as I said, we won't be able to use these annotations unless we use some things called as reflections and all. But the reason why I'm showing you is so that you don't get surprised when you see this kind of code. Okay, any new annotation that you see, you can very well just control click on it and see the source code of it and to understand what is going on and all. Okay, and most of these annotations won't be there at the time of actual running. Okay, they are mainly used for this metadata information. In fact, if you remember this JavaDoc, that entire JavaDoc will be removed when the code is compiled. Okay, so this is about annotations. So we can create annotations, we can mark the methods like this. Okay, and thereby we'll be able to just these are kind of information purpose only, metadata kind of information. Okay, so let's say this method is say for example fast running method. Okay, we can indicate that create a new annotation type called as fast running at fast running method. Therein user will be aware that okay, this is a fast running method. When we control shift space on this, we are not getting that any information about the annotation over here, but we will be able to mention that over here in that itself. Okay, so there are some things. There is something called as reflection in Java, which is pretty much a very advanced topic, which I'm not going to tell you. In case if you need it, I'll give you some basics of reflections, so that you will get to know how to make use of those things and all. In fact, I can give you some small. If you say get class enum demo dot class. Okay, so this is a class we created. Dot get methods. If we do like this, we'll be getting all the methods that are there, that are written on the on a specific uh, what should I say, on a specific uh, um, uh, in a specific class. Okay, if you say get methods, we'll be getting an array. What is it returning? It is returning the array of method array. Okay, method array methods equals to. Now it has to import. Okay, so this is coming from java.lang.reflect package. For method m methods system.out.println, and let's print m dot get name. Now let's execute this and see what's going on or what goes on. Now when we have executed this particular method, and now if you see, we got all these methods that are available: main, get weekday schedule, and all those things. And now what exactly we have done is we have got all the information about all the methods that are available on a specific class. Okay, we can if we have to work on some class for which we don't have source code, this is how we will be able to do. Okay, and also by using this particular reflection, we even be able to call private methods and all, but generally we don't use that particular use reflection to do all those things. Okay, now also we can get what are all the annotations that are available, because the first one is, this is zero index, right? So this is an array, so this is zero, so main is at zero location, and there is get weekday schedule at location one. So if we say methods of one, it will be system.out.println methods of one, and if we run this program, now we got public static int company maven project enum demo dot get weekday schedule. So we have got the all the information about this specific uh, method, this specific method, and we can also call a method called as get annotations. This way we'll be able to get all the annotations that we have on a specific method. Now if we run this program, now the output will be it's just an annotation object. So let's do not do string dot. Okay, now if you see get annotation, when we do something like this, it will be returning whether this particular class has this particular annotation or not. Now if we execute this, we got null over here. Why did we get null over here? Plus get annotations, if we say 0, array index out of bounds exception. So we got an, oh, methods of one might have been different. Now let's just print out what is method of system.out.println. methods of one, and let's run this. Now methods of one is at okay. Now I understood what's going on. So there is a concept of retention for all these annotations. So let me introduce you that here. So at there is another annotation we can use while creating this annotation, that is at retention. Retention at runtime. So retention means when this particular annotation should be till what point of time this annotation should be maintained. By default they will be only until source, and once we have compiled they won't be available. But if we want them to be available at runtime, we have to mention the retention policy dot runtime, so that this particular annotation will be even available at the time when we are running this particular annotation. Now when we run this program, now we got this particular get weekday schedule method, and now get annotations. Let's run this. uh, what is the data type of this? What is it returning? Control shift space, control shift space. Okay, it is returning an annotation array of length 0. The caller of this method is free to modify it. Let's debug and see what is available. Annotations. Now the variables annotation is an array of length 1 at 0th position. It has annotation invocation handler and all. Annotations of 0. Okay. Annotations of length 1. Class loaded. We have why this annotation is not being visible at retention runtime. Did I save this class? Retention policy runtime. Retention annotations are recorded in the class file by compile but need not be returned by the VM at runtime. So I have used the runtime. Runtime. Okay. This is well and good. Let me, okay. Now, when I actually debug this program, I should be able to get an annotation on this. Get annotations of 0 dot annotation type. So it will be returning the class. When I say okay, okay, it is of type class. What else is available for me? Annotation dot string. I think it must be returning proxy one. Okay. No, it is when we say toString, it is returning this. Okay. Now let me annotations of 0 dot toString. Now let me stop and execute this program again. Now if we execute this program, now I got this particular information printed by this particular line. So it is printing that in this particular annotation is available for me at the at the runtime. So I can even get what is the value that is there for the property and all. But as I said, most of the times we won't be creating new annotations and them and all, and even we won't be using reflection. So this particular method is finding out what methods are available on a specific class and all is actually used is a part of some concept called as reflection. We won't be using much of that in our day-to-day programming. Okay, so don't worry too much about that particular piece of information. But whenever you find some new annotation, this is how you can find out whether a specific method has a specific annotation or not at the runtime. So any new frameworks people create, they create by using these annotations. Okay, so you will see a lot of new annotations when we are actually covering Springs and Hibernate and other topics, REST and all. But for now, just remember that we can create annotations like this. Okay? Don't worry too much about what their applications are in this particular our training program. Okay. So I hope you got that. So any questions? Do you guys have any questions on these things?
No, Buddha.
Okay. So, just for coming out of your comfort zone, leave Eclipse for a couple of days and try to work with NetBeans. It will be different. Okay. So, don't think difference is difficult or anything. Once you have got habituated yourself with any of these ideas, you will find them pretty much easy to work with any ID. Many people will have favorites. I suggest you not to have favorites. That's one of the reason I want you to uh, work with NetBeans for some time, so that you will not have only one thing. Okay, if a new project says, okay, we will use this, you shouldn't be feeling that much uh, bad about it. So that's the main intention of making sure that I introduce NetBeans in this session. Okay, after for a couple of sessions we'll use NetBeans, and then we will go to another popular IDE called IntelliJ. So again, so don't take difference to as a difficulty or complication of using that particular tool. Okay, so slightly different. Google as to how to do this thing in NetBeans. If you see, when I have previously didn't know how to get the JavaDoc for a method I've already written, I searched in Google, right? So you can search in Google for to find out how to do that in that specific ID. Okay, so the main intention is to make you get comfortable with anything that you are not already aware of. So uh, try to do any of your own exercise. Try to practice, try to create an annotation, and search for some problems that are there around annotations and enums. Okay, so I'm not giving any specific exercise for you to solve. Okay, as normally, as usually, we will not have a session tomorrow morning. The next session will be on Friday morning. Okay, so that's all about it. And Friday morning, if you guys have not finished all the exercises, I'll be taking all the exercises and I'll be solving them. Okay, so that you will not, because once we finish Java and go into the new topics, things will be even more complex. So I don't want you guys to miss out. And also we'll be taking this particular project and going ahead and using that to develop the web UI, that unscrambler project, whatever we have developed. Okay, so to keep that uh, uh, thing in much more closer to your understanding, we'll be solving those problems in the next session, unless you solve those things yourself. Okay, so that's it. Have a great Diwali. I don't know if you celebrate or not. See you.
Thank you, but the same to you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, okay, bye with